Hey guys, what's up? It's Yalik. This is probably going to be a quickie video. Um, I just wanted to show a base attack that ended up, I think, being a pretty cool hit, and not to brag on myself, but I thought I was pretty clever with the solution I found to this guy's base. So it's this Ofre. I don't know how we're saying that exactly. Anyway, Ofre's base, and I've already attacked a couple times, as you can see. Ooh, speed this up. First approach was I was going ice hookah, and first approach was to try taking out the rockets, and then just keep these three towers shocked as long as possible. That ended up getting messy. The laser did get a shot off, and by the time I get to this point, I know I'm not getting it. Just did not end up working, and it was very expensive in terms of GBE. So a total fail. Tried again. Tried taking the other approach, or I was going to try, didn't actually end up doing anything, because I was trying, rather than barting out the rockets, I was trying to bart back here, because those ended up being such a problem later on in the attack the first time. And these are expensive to take down with GBE. This is really expensive to take down with GBE, and by the time I get these things to the point where I wanted to start my attack, I've got nothing left to work with in terms of GBE, and I realized that this wasn't going to be the way either. That I'd already decided I wasn't going to attack. That last barrage was just me being annoyed. So I'm sitting here staring at this fella's base, and all of a sudden, fella, lady, Ofre? I don't know what that would refer to. Actually, it's person's base. We'll say this person's base, because although there's very high likelihood it's a guy, because there are very few women who play this game, in my experience. I wonder why that is. Probably because we're so much angrier. Anyway, never fails. Never fails. Sometimes I know they're coming. In that case, just out of the blue, my boss wants to ask a question. Of course. Alright, so finally the solution I came up with this guy's base. And I'm going to pause this before I begin so you'll know what to look for. I had been staring at the grappler anyway. I was thinking of using the grappler and maybe getting in there with Everspark and trying to take down towers that way, thinking that might be a less expensive way of going about this base. GBE expensive, I mean, because it was so expensive back here trying to bart this stuff down, and this didn't end up working either. Plus, I mean, it's expensive to bart these down, plus then you have the expense of trying to shock back here continuously, and that wasn't working. So I'm staring at that grappler, and all of a sudden I realized this guy has made a huge mistake. By the way, this is not a... He's got a pretty good corner base design over here. Corner bases, I usually go with Bullitt hookah, but I mean, his mines are going to be a pain in the neck up here. He's not giving me beach. I'd have to smoke the whole way. I've got no place to stand. So this guy had been on my map for a couple days because I hadn't really sat down to figure out what I was going to do with him. Stared at that grappler, and all of a sudden realized that he has, if you look at the ranges here, he has all of his rockets grouped around it. So if the grappler takes Bullitt, Bullitt will be standing right about here on that spot. The rockets, this one for sure, this one for sure, and this one quite possibly will be completely unable to fire. And if they do fire at all, this one, if it does fire at all, it will only be able to fire at Bullitt. And Bullitt's taunt is a pretty cheap ability. The first one is about 3 or something, and then 5 and 7 and 9. I mean, it goes up. It goes up rather slowly, like smokes. They don't get expensive in a hurry. They do get expensive eventually, but not in a hurry. And taunt is the same. It is very cheap at first to use, and it's a great way to control these towers. And while they're being controlled by his taunt, I will have time to get my troops up in that area and deal with those towers. Also, I'm thinking, if Bullitt's standing here, the laser will be shooting this way, and I drop my troops over here, the laser will stay focused away from me for a good amount of time. And then by the time I get back to here, I can just start shocking. So that was the approach I decided to go with, and I really liked the way it worked out, obviously, because I'm telling you about it. And again, not a terrible base design. I had been staring at this for a couple days. Oh, I did decide to kill the rockets, or the shocks. Huh. Forgot about that. Anyway, I had been staring at this, thinking one-dimensionally, I guess, but I'd been staring at this thinking of Bullitt hookah, and nothing was coming to me. It just looked like a nightmare, and so I kept going away from it. So there you see, Bullitt has been taken by the grappler, and I'm just taunting and counting off to try to maximize the taunts as much as possible. Bullitt's in there. He's now destroyed the grappler. He's doing some work, and you can see that his health is getting pretty low over there, but it's not really going to matter too much to me. As long as he's out there, the laser's focused away. Meanwhile, I've got a group of troops over here, and they're doing their work. So Bullitt has finally died. So at this point, the grappler, or the laser, needs to be shocked. And I really just need that one rocket to go down. And I'm not even doing anything, really. I'm just waiting. And when that rocket goes down, keep the laser shocked. Let the girls do their work. And then it's just reflare and clean up. I looked over at this point, and I had 80 GBE again, which was a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest. So I figured I could, start using that, clear some mines back there with the critters and stuff. I let them spread a bit here. I didn't really need to kill anything else, but I just let them go. And figured the only thing that's really a pain to me is the mortars over there. So I probably should have reflared a bit earlier, but I did it just there, you saw. And at this point, I'm free to fire on the HQ from, what's that, about 6:15 or whatever that is. And meanwhile, there's a couple of girls over here they're working on. Oh, no, they're not. The shield we just burned right through the shield. The shield goes down and base goes down. And let's see, what did this guy have for ice? 1 and 1 boosting. Not the hardest base in the world in terms of that, but more the layout made it an interesting and fun base to attack. So yeah, grappler ends up being my friend, and that's pretty cool. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you do. I'm Yalik. Have a great day.